Well, hello and welcome to the Smells Like Money podcast. Join me, Suzan Taylor, the DooDoo Diva, as I interview guests who are making an impact on how we manage and operate systems for conveying and treating wastewater. As a veteran of the wastewater, trenchless, and civil infrastructure industry, each week I'll be bringing you industry know-how from industry pros who know how. Join me each week as I speak with representatives of organizations that are utilizing disruptive or new technologies and methods, and executives who are excited to share how to be successful and sustainable in our vital industry. So whether you want to learn about the latest trends in technology, in treatment or trenchless, gain tips on training and retaining great talent, or simply how to be more efficient, productive, or profitable, this podcast is for you. Ready? Let's dive right in. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the DooDoo Divas Smells Like Money podcast. Today, I have the great pleasure of bringing on Connor, the Content King Dube, who has been a longtime strategic partner and working with me on so much of the amazing content that we produce for our clients under our C3 programs here at Creative Raven. But I don't want to preach to the choir. You know how I talk about the importance of content and digital marketing and how key it is in today's virtual selling environment. But today we're going to be focusing on a new technology and service that is really, truly a game changer for any business, whether you're in the wastewater industry or really any business. Even I'm thinking municipal utilities might be interested in what this can bring to the table for customer service. And so we've been offering this little gem as a value add for our C3 customers for many years now, but we are now able to offer it just as a standalone system. And without it being a spoiler alert, I am going to let Connor be the unveil on this. And so with that, Connor, take it away.
Well, honored to be here, and I just love how full circle everything goes. And, by the way, big shout out to you. I think we're going on almost like 3.5 years now in our, partnership, which is just outstanding and very rare to come by nowadays. You meet a lot of people. It's like, oh yeah, let's partner up and all of that. And, with Suzan, despite the amazing success you've had in your career, you always inspire me. Just to keep, it'd be so easy at this point for you just, I'm going to wind things down, take it easy, hang out. But you push yourself harder, your business, all of that, more than I think people realize in the background. So I had to paint the picture, of that, and honored to know you and appreciate our relationship. And yeah, I mean, where do you want to start? You tell me. That's your show. And where do you think we should dive in? Should we just kind of paint the big picture of what it is people are missing? And that would probably be, at the end of the day, a lot of, especially in the, wastewater municipalities and really any B2B business at the end of the day, whether or not you consider yourself as marketing, right? You are marketing, at the end of the day, whether you don't do anything digital whatsoever. Let's say you just have sales reps, account managers, all you do year round are trade shows, conferences, you're still marketing, right? Because what is marketing really? It's reaching people, reaching enough of the right people. And number two, being able to stay in front of them. We like to overcomplicate that about B2B marketing, but that is the fact. And so whether your entire business is built off of word of mouth, referrals, you do conferences, you do trade shows. Let's say you do content marketing, you do paid ads, pay-per-click, inbound, outbound, turnaround, you name it, all roads to a sale, no matter where it's from. Every single deal that ever comes across your plate is eventually going to do one thing. And I'm sure Suzan already knows the answer to what that is, but I want you to just ask yourself, okay, what is that one thing that no matter who's looking at doing business with me, what is that one thing people are going to do, which is go to your website? And what they're going to do there is validate you. They're going to verify who you are. They're going to maybe check your content. A lot of time I go to websites of vendors I'm interested in, and I'm, if I don't see they have fresh, updated content, I'm kind of questioning myself, are these guys still in business? Are they active? And so and also they're going there to check social proof, right? Because people don't believe your marketing anymore. They don't believe what you have to say. Anybody can go pump out generic content, mountains of content from AI, and, pump a bunch of money behind ads. But what they're really looking for is that social proof. Now, the unfortunate statistics tell us, and fortunate for you that's listening into this podcast, that you're going to get this information, only about 1.5 to 2%, right? And if you're listening, I want you to write that down. 1.5 to 2% of anybody who visits your website is going to actually take an action, right? Or leave any sort of sign that they're there. They're going to, either fill out a form, they're going to call your team, they're going to contact you in one way or another, or maybe they're just not ready, right? Timing, need, money, opportunity, all these things have to align. You may have put a post out on LinkedIn. They've been following you for 3 months. They're getting much closer into that kind of buying cycle. And now they're starting to do their homework a little bit more. Now, what's the risk of this to you as well is a lot of the time they may just bounce and go to a competitor, right? Because they're doing their research. So you risk losing deals to your competitor, and that 98% of traffic, which you've already invested into, whether it is through whatever channel you're using, even if it's just salespeople, right? Let's say all of your marketing is just strictly having salespeople. All of that comes through is eventually going to, potentially bounce. Now, what we recognized early on is in partnership with our C3 and Creative Raven, and producing 40,000 custom pieces of B2B content across 70 technical B2B industries. And the question was always like, hey, how do we monitor and measure the return of what it is that we're doing here? So we've kind of leveraged this proprietary technology, which is out there, and there's other options out there. And the unfortunate part of that is mainly it's accessible to these Fortune 500 companies that have millions of dollars in their marketing budget to be able to get access to this data. The other alternative is you do something like plug Google Analytics into your site, and then you can see, okay, I've got, this many visitors and here and there, but it doesn't give you any sort of relevancy as to what action you can take with that data. What you really need is what's called nutrient-rich data, right? And data that you can actually leverage for sales and further marketing activities. Again, otherwise you're just kind of losing that. So that's where we've essentially developed this Convertive Visit. And if you want to check this out, it's called convertivevisit.com. And this tool allows you instant access. Once you get it onto your site, takes 30, 60 seconds to get plugged into your website. Immediately, we'll start sending you the verified name, email, phone number, address, company name, where that lead sourced from, and a whole lot of other relevant information that you didn't have access to otherwise, so that your team can say, wow, we have these highly qualified prospects. They're clearly interested in us based on what they looked at, how much time they spent. And a lot of the time, you don't know who that person actually is. Well, now you can tell that data through Convertivisit and be able to work those people back into your funnel, work them back in your marketing systems, have your SDRs, BDRs, business development team be able to follow up and reach out to those prospects appropriately through the core channels you have right at your fingertips: phone, email, cold calling, LinkedIn, you name it.
So one of the things, when we first started using this on, client sites, beyond, we all talk about, Google. Well, I have Google Analytics. Yes, but Google Analytics, it doesn't tell you exactly who has visited your site and what they're engaging with. you know that it may have come from an external source. But one of the things that I thought was so interesting in tracking this was, from a marketing standpoint, it enabled me to see what content that I've got on my website or out on my digital feeds or whatever is resonating with people enough that they want to take that next step and check me out. And then they may not contact me. Like you said earlier, it's the importance of all roads lead to Rome. And I talk a lot, I always mention that in all of my marketing presentations at various conferences. Like you said, the purpose is to get them to your website. And then when they're on your website, well, then what? If you don't know what's happening, I see it as you're leaving potential deals on the table.
100%.
You're leaving money on the table. So yeah, and the other thing is, wow, I noticed people seem to be coming to my website because I've been talking about X, Y, or Z. Well, if that's making the phone ring, then instead of talking about A, B, or C, I need to be focusing my content and my messaging and everything else around those pieces of content or those things that I'm talking about that are making people pay attention and come to check me out. So
it's such a great
gives
point.
You so many insights.
All roads lead to Rome, and you're spending money to bring that traffic into there already, whether you realize it or not. And part of that spend, that's salaries, that's
right.
Your market, however you're doing it. And you're literally wasting marketing spend. You're literally bleeding out marketing spend. I'll give you a great example. We had a client recently that, we hooked into ConvertAVisit. They're spending about $5-6 grand a month on pay-per-click. And they had no idea how effective, ineffective their pay-per-click, activity was. They're getting very little activity out of it, but then they get that one little kind of win from here and there, and then they're spending money in other areas. So they just continue to pour spend into it, and not realizing that they could have cut that whole budget and dedicated that into a channel that's so much stronger. And without ConvertAVisit, plugged into there, they had no idea whatsoever. And so they're just like, able to recoup that money, able to see how effective it is when people land there. And as you mentioned, a lot of marketers don't really understand what happens after the click. You spend, investment on a marketing campaign, but what are people really interested in once they land onto your website? And so now you can see that not just based on traffic, because you could hire any digital marketing company to go out there, pump a ton of DooDoo Divas, no pun intended, pump a ton of traffic into your website, and they're like, yeah, we're doing great work. Look at all the volume we've increased onto your site here, but how relevant is it? I would much rather have 50 highly qualified visitors to my website every week or every month versus 5,000 just because I feel good. I have, that amount of traffic that's coming through to my website. And so you immediately got to understand this. Another thing I want to point out is obviously the economics of kind of where we're at in this country right now. And you've seen it. We've seen it. Every single kind of agency marketer has seen it. When things are down, the first thing to go is the marketing budget. It's the first thing executives cut. And, that's a whole nother political discussion, company, political discussion to have, but, it's a unfortunate truth of the matter. And so what does that mean? Let's say you cut everything in your marketing budget and your team just starts pouring money into things that they consider direct lead generation or direct outreach or things that are going to give them an immediate return. Well, again, the truth is also the same. People are going to be coming to your website. If you aren't able to recapture them, you're wasting ROI on your marketing spend.
That's an excellent point. And it's, something else that you brought up is that this, B2B, the reason that I love it is because we're dealing primarily with what one would consider long sales cycle, high ticket item within this industry. You're dealing with the B2G space, which means there's budgets, there's specs being written. It's, many, many touch points along the way from when someone first looks at a solution to perhaps they actually, what I call sign on the line that hath dot, because you're talking
Right.
capital equipment purchase or capital improvement project. And so for those listeners, this tool can become invaluable in a long sales cycle scenario, because someone may come in, you've met with them, they tell you not now, we're in budgeting, we're going to be doing specs. Then all of a sudden, ConvertAvisit sends you a message. Oh, City of Monroeville is on your site. Wow, I met with them 4 months ago. Ooh, maybe this means that they're starting to get closer to doing their spec or looking to buy.
Yeah.
Well, gee, maybe I need to make a phone call to my friend John over at that city to see where they're at and put myself back up to the top of the inbox and back up to the top of the mind. You
And that's
wouldn't
the
know that
beauty.
without a tool like this.
That's the beauty of what the tool is. Not only you can see that, but you can see that John was that person from that organization that had come back to your website. Most other tools do not provide that except for ConvertAvisit. And so also knowing who that is, and you bring up such a good point, and this is just where the B2B market is going. Maybe years ago, you'd have maybe 3-4 decision makers on an average B2B decision making process. Now the average is 10 freaking decision makers on any enterprise level deal that you're doing. And so what does that mean? By the way, 65% of those in your buying suite are now either millennial or emerging Gen Z. And executives are pulling in much more people on these decision-making processes. It's very emotional. People don't think B2B is personal and emotional, but it is even way more than B2C, because you're risking your career, you're risking budget, you're risking so much more, doing an enterprise spend like that. And so, yes, you have a much bigger buying suite of buyers, and you have much longer sales cycles. And I'm sure all of you listening, you've never had this happen to you before, but me being in sales as many years as I have, believe it or not, despite the young looking face, is you send a proposal out to a prospect, right? And again, these things, time, money, need, opportunity, alignment, all these things have to occur to get a B2B deal done. It doesn't happen in your time frame, believe it or not. People like to think it does.
Yeah.
You have to, you get your buyer to invite you into the door versus, trying to just shove your way into it. That's where a lot of B2B sales reps lose deals. But where was I going with that? Is essentially where was I going with that?
I think it's
I just
also,
lost my train of thought, but
yeah, but
backtrack.
you have more people involved in the decision-making process. So it takes a lot longer to get a deal closed because they want company buy-in.
Oh, now I
when you
remember.
have the buy-in, then everybody is on board with it. They're happy about it. Nobody's grumbling about it. So I think, what you were touching on, that I see this more and more with my clients, is that there's this feeling of, or they're trying to develop a culture of inclusiveness, that the CEO is like, okay, I'm going to buy this and you're going to use it. No, now they're looping in that guy who's actually going to use that tool and say, well, take a look at this. Is this going to do what you need to do to make your life easier, for you to be more productive, for it to generate more revenue? They don't want to be the only one making that decision. And so I think that makes a good point about when you're dealing with a larger, enterprise. If you're seeing that different people from different layers or levels are on your website checking out the same thing, then that tells you, wow, we've got a lot of people interested in this organization, or from this organization, interested in what we have to offer. Well, maybe it might be time to invite a group meeting, or in our industry, we do a lot of lunch and learns. Maybe we need to have a webinar and invite, reach out to clients and say, hey, how about we do a quick lunch and learn or a webinar with everybody on your team to do a demo? It's just been you and me talking, but let's get everybody involved and get their way in. And so again, tools like this, we're getting into that area of, AI. And one of the things about these tools, it is like a lot of people might get creeped out that it's big brotherish, that you don't want to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, John, I saw that you were looking at my website 15 minutes ago." That
Yeah.
is going to totally freak the guy out.
Yeah.
But
Don't recommend that.
don't recommend that. But this is a way that you could just say, "Hey, John, we talked a little while ago," or even post the question, "I'm from such and such. Is your organization, having any issues with this? And have you been looking at this type of solution? Just thought I'd reach out to see, is this something that you might be looking about or considering that, hey, I'd like to have an opportunity to talk to you about it." They don't know that but it's that one up. And so, Connor, because I'm a very visual person, and I know there are a lot of people listen in, but those of you who might be interested in this, I'd like you to just give us a very high overview. Going to give you screen share here of what Convert a Visit looks like and the type of information that they can see on a report in just like a quick 5-minute demo. If for those of you who are just listening in, you might want to come back in at a later time and see the YouTube version of the show. But, I'd really like people to see what this is all about.
Sure. I can absolutely do that. And I would encourage anybody as well, as I pull my screen up here, if you do want to check just some of the areas we're talking about, you're more than welcome. And I would invite you to come check out convertavisit.com. And that is where you can see a lot more information about this tool. And at the end of the day, there's two core areas to get your data from this. Again, think of any landing pages that you're focused on putting spend in, your homepage, all of your pages. I even know we have some staffing recruiting clients, and they use this as well to identify, hey, we had this high level recruit that we had reached out to and they didn't follow up with us, but we do see their interest in looking at our website. But we also do see leads and names of companies and the contacts within those organizations that are also checking out our website. So Convert a Visit, very simple platform. And the whole reason we ended up having to kind of, land with the Convert a Visit tool and become such big fans of it is we went out and tested every single web analytic tool that is available. We spent years, every new one in the market, all the old ones, all the up and coming ones. We tested all of them. And what we were frustrated about was they looked very complex. The user interface was not good and the data was terrible. You were getting a lot of mismatched data or you weren't getting the level of depth of data that you would get through something like Convert a Visit. And so this is just some dummy data, as you can see, of who is visiting the website. I can go in and look at, who's filled out a form. I can look at those percentages that have matched up with an email name, verified address of a company, as well as the actual identified companies that have visited my website and some other kind of high level traffic here. But the email visitor side, especially, I really like to dig through this data and show this to you, is I can see how someone got there. So if I'm sending out direct links, I can see that this came in through a direct link and I can see what that link is. It was, in fact, our homepage was when that traffic had come to our website. I can see the location of that. I can see the name of that company. I can see the email of that company, and I can see the name of that person within that organization. And alongside with some other information. But the other thing is I'm always checking, hey, how relevant is this traffic? Well, it looks like they spent a pretty good amount of time on our website. And you can see how many different pages they had looked at, including our services pages, portfolio page, you name it. And what happened, they didn't reach out. And so this is a potentially warm lead that I can further investigate, look on LinkedIn, look up the company, see what kind of level of interest there is, and then have our team go out and contact them. Right? So here's another great example of that. Pages viewed. We can see all of that data. If we want to find additional contacts, again, remember that stat. There's 5 to 10 different decision makers, and you need to be able to work them into your funnel at different levels. And so this provides that to you. Now, let's say, for example, I want to build a report out of these. All this data in here you can download into an Excel spreadsheet. We can import it into our CRM, right? So let's say we want to do a email nurturing campaign to follow up with some of these leads. Absolutely a piece of what you can do here. And back on this dashboard, maybe I want to look more at the company side of things. So I can see, again, the list of where these are sourcing from. A lot of direct links. Some of these from a Calendly link, you name it. So I'll look at, this company here. Okay. I can see pages viewed. Now I can see that this company, person from this company, for whatever reason, and that's the thing, is there's no perfect match, which is why there's a next trick into this platform that is highly, highly valuable. No one else does this, is a built-in database. Instead of you having to go out and spend tens of thousands of dollars on Discover.org or Zoom Info, this tool has a built-in data enrichment platform. So you can take these company names and go in here to find who those particular contacts are by searching them up along with credits, right? So I can go in and pull up, let's just say I do proven content. Okay. Well, I can see the names of people within that organization listed here, and I can go in and pull up their email address. So this is where I can do data enrichment, the interest level of that data, all within the same platform. You don't have to have two different platforms for this. And by the way, for a fraction of the investment you'd spend on a lot of these other larger platforms, we're really trying to empower the SMB, small and medium businesses, to be able to get access to this, because they haven't. It's mostly been enterprise level companies over the years.
Are you able to show an email, like what an alert looks like in the email box when somebody's been visiting?
Absolutely. Let me pull that up for you here really quick. So let me just download
this is what I think is very
so
cool. So this can
it.
come into the email box when it happens, and then you can click on it and find out more about them instantly.
Yeah, for some reason it won't let me download the image, but
that's okay.
You can see at a high level, again, instead of even having to go into the platform, you can set your sales team up so that they're getting these notifications in real time that are visiting your website. If you prefer, you can do them as daily reports, do them as weekly reports, do them as monthly reports, however you want to set this up. But I can see in real time at 9:35, this lead came to our website. The first page they visited was a portfolio page. This is where they're located. Here's a little bit of information about the company, right? Here's some possible contacts within that company. Huge, huge, huge. And then here's a bit more as to what they had actually taken a look at, right?
Now,
so I can use all this contextually.
Something that I wanted to bring up, because a lot of people see, 9 seconds, 15 seconds, 17 seconds. They think that's not a lot of time. And that's a misconception in internet or web browsing. Believe it or not, 30 seconds, even 10 seconds is a tremendous amount of time for someone. Do you know what the average is on one page? What is it? 3 seconds. So if they're spending longer than 3 seconds, or even longer than 7 seconds, 7 seconds or more, that they are seriously interested and they are looking at what you have. And especially if they look at more than one page.
Correct. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that. If we can see they're doing a lot more. And again, without this, like, I could have spent money in one way, shape, or form to get this lead to our site. Without this, otherwise I had no idea. And so I'm just taking that spend and just throwing little, if I have a whole dollar, I'm cutting a third of it, I'm keeping a third, and then the other 2/3 of it, I'm just tossing into the garbage can.
Okay. Well, thank you for bringing that up on screen so we could see it visually. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And so
Yeah.
now
And
here's the good news. Here's the good news and why I was so excited to have you on the show. Before, this was something that we could only offer if you were part of our program with C3. But now we have an offer here for those of you listening, is that you can try Convert a Visit on your website for, Connor, I'll let you talk about that. But I believe it's 2 weeks. It doesn't cost anything, 2 weeks. You get all the benefits of the reports and the things that Connor just showed to see how it works, to see what's happening. And then after that, you can keep it for a very nominal fee from a month to month basis, just as a standalone tool. Even if you never want to do anything else with us, this is something that we are bringing to the table, that this is why I'm so excited. And I wanted really him to explain how it works and why this is such a valuable thing for any service business, any equipment business, even a public service. Because if you've got your ratepayers that are visiting your website and they're looking at something, perhaps there's an issue that you may not be aware of in customer service that you're not addressing, that you need to be looking at. And so I just see this tool of having so much potential for whatever you're doing for sales, for engagement, for customer service, and just what I would even consider user experience. We talk
100%.
a lot about that, in digital marketing. How great is your user experience for people that have landed on your website? If you see them
100%.
coming in, especially if it's a client that you've been working on and you see them come in and then they bug out, what does that tell you? Either your content and what you're putting out there in your content, your digital marketing PR is not aligning with your messaging and what you've got on your website, or your website doesn't have enough information to engage with them, or they're feeling like, yeah, I want to take this further, or it's not good enough to hold them. Either there's not enough, it's not being presented in an engaging way, or you're just not giving them enough reason to stay. And so a tool like this can really help you if you're thinking, I need to do a website audit. What am I doing well? What am I not doing well? Or maybe there are things that I'm doing okay, but I could be doing it so much better. This is a tool for a very little investment, can help you find out exactly what's going right and what's going wrong.
What you don't know is always hurting you.
Yep.
Hurting you the most. And I always open, I talk all, at events all over the place throughout the year. And one of the big things that I always open my talks with is it's not always about adding something new and what it is that you're doing right, but it's more about eliminating the things that you're doing wrong.
Right.
And you don't know what to eliminate without really knowing. And so that's why we're like, opening this up for essentially free. You can, go to convertavisit.com, just fill out a time to discuss. Make sure you mention that you heard about it through the DooDoo Diva podcast. Genius name, by the way. I wonder who encouraged the podcast launch. I won't take any credit for it.
Back step on that. Connor was really the one that really pushed me to do a podcast for the industry. And I'd come up with some names. And then I told him the nickname that I had with a number of friends in the industry. And he said, that's what you got to run with. And I said, you don't think that's a little irreverent? And he said, no, not at all. And then really push it when you get to do your avatar. And so it's thanks to Connor that we came up with the poop emoji, the reclining sexy poop emoji next to the manhole, all decked out in her diamond tiara.
And you actually did it. And thank goodness you did. But the on the Convert a Visit side, essentially, there really is nothing that that at the end of the day you have to absolutely know what's happening. and you might as well find out for free. And if you even in your head, you're like, well, leads don't use our website, like we don't do any digital marketing, our business doesn't work that way. You'd be surprised. But wouldn't you rather know than not know? I mean, consider you have one extra deal a year that you can capture that you may have lost to a competitor because you didn't even know that they're investigating you and researching you. Imagine you turn that one deal around. What does that mean for your business, right? What does that mean for, I mean, a little bit of a hint, but like a few $100 a month to get that data, right? And so you can find out for free, find out what's happening. There's no risk to it whatsoever. And at the end of the day, once you do know, then you know what you can be tackling in your marketing and maybe what you should eliminate.
So if you're interested in this, we're going to have a link in the show notes at the bottom underneath here and on the newsletter to take advantage of this free trial and just, hey, nothing ventured, nothing gained. At the very least, you'll get 2 weeks of what I think is going to be, and I believe is going to be very insightful data. And I think many of you are going to be very, very surprised when you see this data come back, that it will reveal things that you maybe never even imagined. And it could really change your perspective on thinking about, oh, yeah, that's working really great. And then only to find out, wow, that thing you thought was working great maybe isn't performing as well as it should have been, like you were saying earlier in the cast, about, especially for those of you who are paying for pay-per-click or Google AdWords, service businesses in that B2C space, are you really spending your money in the right place? And are you leaving money on the table? And so with that, Connor, thank you for coming on the show. I've been wanting you to do this for quite a while, and this was a great topic to bring you in on, to unveil this really, really exciting tool that's available to all types of businesses. Really excited to be part of it. Super, super stoked that we are connected and that we have been strategy partners. He and his team bring so much to the table to Creative Ravens clients. And so again, thank you for coming on the show. And for those of you tuning in, thanks for being here. And until next time, keep it flowing. And we're out. Everyone. Thanks so much for joining me, the DooDoo Diva, on this week's episode of Smells Like Money. What stood out to you this week? Share your takeaways by leaving me a review. You can find out more about the new technologies, creating sustainable solutions, and insights on how to succeed in our vital industry by subscribing to the show. Whether you want to learn about the latest trends in wastewater infrastructure, treatment, or trenchless, you've got it all right here at Smells Like Money. If you're an industry expert and would like to be considered as a guest for the show, book a quick chat with me by visiting calendly.com/the2it group/B-A-podcast-guest, or simply click the link in the show notes below. Until next week, a big shout out to all my industry friends and those who will be. You are my superheroes. Thanks for tuning in, keeping it flowing, and we'll see you all next week.